Hello, my name is Otto Von Busch. I am professor of integrated design at Parsons. And my research concerns do-it-yourself culture, if you want to call that, and making culture. And I'm interested in how crafts can be used in various modes of social engagement and in questions around empowerment and larger issues around civic engagement, if you want to say so. So how can crafts and the act of making and the crafts of, for example, woodcrafts, be part of larger societal and democratic concerns? And a lot of what I'm doing is also sort of using woodcrafts as the lens by which I try to understand what the role of making in civic society, but also how to sort of engage people in these processes. So part of that is by making our own tools and sort of having an aesthetic in a sense that invites people to participate and feel that they could also do similar things. Another way of looking at this is to make tools for collaboration, or what me and my colleagues have called co-craft. So sort of learning from co-design practices, but how can we think of co-design as being something that is much more hands-on and something where more people are engaged. So when we talk about collaboration, how does the tools actually make people collaborate? So for example, this is a rebuilt, broken wood plane that has now 4 handles. So you have to be 2 people that use the plane rather than sort of a normal plane that would just have 1 user. So again, sort of how can we prime and produce tools that creates more collaboration and facilitates collaboration and also opens craft to teach us civics, if you want to say so. So a lot of this is exactly me making these tools. So what I'm doing today is also just using a normal utility knife and sawing off the handle and replacing it with a new handle to also sort of give this, rather than the plastic mass-produced look, something that feels that we can make our own tools. And how do we sort of create that hands-on experience so that we also feel that we can take part in creating our own environments, create our own society in a sense, and co-design and co-craft what these engagements look like. So what I'm doing here is first whittling a handle for the knife that I'm going to make. So again, out of a piece of wood from the scrap bin, I shape a handle that seems reasonable for for the knife. I will then drill a hole for the blade, for the tang of the blade, to get into the handle, and I will glue it there. We will get there later. So after finishing whittling the shape of the handle, I saw off with a hacksaw the plastic handle of the knife. Oops. In order to then replace the existing handle with the handmade handle. So usually after cutting it down a bit, one can bend this open in order to take out the blade. Oop. Let's do it like this way. So there, the handle is off. And we have the blade. Right, so now we're going to drill out a hole in which we can sink in the handle. So just using the drill, we make 2 holes. And now our final step will be to mix the epoxy in order to glue in the handle into our, or glue the knife, the tang of the knife into the handle. So mixing the epoxy, we're going to put the epoxy into the hole and glue in the tang. Sometimes the hole gets a little bit too big because you need to use a bigger drill to reach all the way down with the tang if you don't have very long drill bits. Then you can use part of the wood chips that that came off when you whittled the handle to fill up a little bit in the hole. So now we put in the blade into the hole. And again, we can use some of these wood chips to fill out a little bit. Otherwise, you may have to use a bit too much glue. So last step now, as the blade has dried into place, is to just give a sort of a nice bevel up here where the blade gets into the handle. So then one can just whittle the last bits to give that last touch up on the shape of the handle. And then in the end, you have a knife of your own, a tool that you made yourself, even though you didn't make the blade. But it gives a sense of agency, I think, that we have the ability to make our own tools. And with those, we can then invite people to help shape the world together. And to me, that's sort of the basics of both crafts, but also how we can think of civics and the way we engage in society and invite others to take part in shaping our world.